Today, we are exploring a topic that many of us face at this stage in our life, and that is standing at a crossroad. So maybe you are contemplating retirement, possibly you're thinking about downsizing your house or even moving from where you've been for a really, really long time. Or maybe what's happening is you're facing an empty nest. Or, like a friend of mine who recently found herself unemployed after decades of being in the workforce. So these moments can feel very unsettling, very uncomfortable, but they can also be very powerful opportunities. Now, I have personally faced quite a number of crossroads in my life. One in particular where I left the corporate world and I came to be a personal trainer and a lifestyle coach. And so today's topic is not just about theory for me, it's about a lived experience. But why does this really matter for us when we're in our midlife? When we're in our 50s and beyond, we often experience more of these transitions than what we did in our 20s. But this time around, we bring many more decades of wisdom and experience with us to help us navigate these transitions. And so today, we are going to explore Crossroads. And I'm going to start off by talking about this gift that we're given when we face a crossroad. So recently, my friend, she found herself unemployed at the age of 57 for the first time since she was 15 years old. And when she shared this news with me, I didn't text her back with some type of quick solution, but instead I pondered it for a while and then I picked up the phone for an absolute proper chat because sometimes these moments deserve deeper connection and more contemplation. What struck me in our conversation was how this unexpected pause that it created space for reflection. And she was really, really accepting this opportunity to think about life, which is great because sometimes we might just go into panic mode when things have changed. And so it was for her a gift. It was the pause button on her routine that had been running her life. And you probably understand this. Sometimes we just need to take that breath and think about things a little bit more deeply. What it does is it gives us that permission to ask ourselves, what do I love? What drains me? What do I want to do with this change or this next chapter in my book? So for my friend, nursing has been her calling for many, many years. And it satisfied her deep need to connect and help others. So my very first question in our conversation wasn't, what job are you going to do next? Are you going to retire? It was the minimum that you need to do to maintain your registration. Is it paid work? Is it volunteer work? Is it some type of combination of these things? You know, maybe this is the first thing that you want to explore because for you, nursing is part of your identity. But maybe you want to do something different, but having that there to know that you put so much time and effort into honing the skills that you have as being a nurse, maybe you want to maintain those things. And so I'm not offering up her solutions. What I'm doing is prompting her to think about things that are important to her and have been important to her. So when we ask these right questions about what truly matters to someone, it can be quite helpful when we're facing this change in an identity, as an example. And so she might also want to think about creating space for her family, for traveling with her loved one, and thinking about her own well-being a little bit more, because maybe she hasn't had the time to do that in the past. So these hard questions are definitely worthwhile answering and thinking about. So sometimes these crossroads, they can cause us to feel a little uncomfortable, but they also give us that opportunity to cut through the fog. And one powerful question that I've found quite useful for myself, and I did suggest it to my friend as well too, and I was certainly not being morbid in any way, but I said to her, if your partner was suddenly no longer in your life, what would you be doing? And so often, the plans that we have when we face these crossroads are unconsciously tethered to other people, and understanding our independent desires and thoughts help us make choices that honor our complete selves as well too. So for many women I work with, what we discover is that they're always about organizing their lives around other people's needs, me included in this. And we can be doing it for so long in our lives that we actually lose touch with what's important to us, what we value, what our desires are. And when we're in our midlife, our 50s and beyond, reconnecting with some of those desires becomes really essential. It becomes very, very important to us. And one of the things that I personally am blessed to have in my life is two grandchildren living with us now. And when we came into the new year this year, we sat down and did this fabulous little goal setting workbook that I'd picked up from the Big Life Journal. And it's called Mission Impossible, or Mission Possible, I should say. It wasn't impossible. And because it was scaled down to a child's level, I found myself, because we did it together, I found myself exploring a lot more about what was important to me. And it really uncovered a dream of mine. And I'm pleased to say that I am working towards what was highlighted to me as a new goal. And so it's all about what is important to me and what this desire is all about for me and what it means for me as a person. So what happens is, the research shows that women who develop strong personal identities separate to their role as a partner or a mother or a professional often navigate their midlife transitions that we face more successfully. And this isn't about being selfish in any way. It's, I believe, really necessary groundwork to be able to face this next chapter. So let's talk about some practical strategies that we can use when we're in these transitions. So it doesn't matter whether you're facing retirement, whether you're downsizing, whether it's job loss, or whether you're just feeling this nudge for a change. Some of these approaches can help each and every one of us. And that first thing is to focus on a heart to head balance. So, yes, we want to follow our passions by all means. Absolutely, we want to do that. But we want to ground them in what will genuinely make life sustainable for us and fulfilling. So, this isn't about squashing our dreams, but it's about giving them the foundation that they need to be able to flourish. Secondly, we really have to consider this purpose question. So no, I'm going to say this. Most of us wither without having a purpose. And look, I've seen this with my mum. She goes through each day, she's got her routine in place, and she becomes very anxious. She can also make herself quite sick when she faces something different in life. And that could even possibly be getting out of bed earlier than what she normally gets up. And one of the things that I have discovered over these years is that for her, after the loss of dad, that purpose isn't there. That willingness to embrace and do something each day, something that she has to do, is not there for her. And so I see, this slow and steady decline happening because she is just sitting there. She's not getting out of bed to go, right, I'm going to do this today. And it could be something as simple as focusing on my health and well-being today. That is what's going to drive me. That is what's going to get me out of bed every day. For you, it might be something totally different. But I know for my friend, I said to her, if you don't have a reason to get out of bed, I feel like your anxiety is going to increase every day. And it's just going to mean that you don't have any structure, that you're going to be facing each day without any type of meaning, and your level of engagement that keeps you energized, I think it's just going to overwhelm you. And so I want you to really think about that when you're going through this thought process, when you're taking this pause. And she was very appreciative of that commentary and giving her something else to play with going through it. Thirdly, I think we need to think about what that minimum viable activity is. What's that smallest thing that we can do to maintain that connection to what matters? So for her, being a professional woman, keeping those certifications alive and active means that you're able to create this. You've got this grounding, but you're also able to create a creative space for yourself that gives you that opportunity to think about more expansive things, and also possibly even give you that community involvement that you've had in the past. And maybe it looks very different, but it is a thought process to go through. And I know that my daughter-in-laws, when they have considered making changes in their life, they have all maintained their certifications and their qualifications in the degrees that they put such time and effort into, because making a change means that for them, if they felt like they needed to go back to something, that it was there and it was available to them at that point if life was to change suddenly for them. I think the fourth thing is that we need to prioritize a flexibility factor in this, because at this stage in our life, I think flexibility becomes very precious currency. You know, how you design this next chapter to accommodate, you know, impromptu visits from grandchildren, as an example, or travel opportunities that might come up, or simply days that your energy is fluctuating and you just don't feel like doing something. Having that flexibility factor is really, really important. And I know this to be true for me when the grandchildren came into my life and, you know, came here to live. For me, it was like, from a business perspective, I was all in on that. But now I need that flexibility to be able to take them to their counseling sessions and to their sporting activities and everything else that they're doing, whilst also maintaining that business. And, you know, what does that look like moving forward? Does it look like something different? Will it continue in the same way? So I have been thinking about, you know, where that, or what that might look like in the future. And there are some little things happening behind the scenes that I'm working on, just like that dream and that goal that I was talking about earlier as well too. I think finally, the last thing that we really need to do is go make sure we've got that honesty factor. You know, make 3 lists. What energizes me? What totally depletes me? And what am I curious about that I haven't explored, or that was something that I was passionate about in the past that I haven't been involved with for years and years and years. And I think those lists can help guide you when you're in this transition with life as well too. When I started thinking about this, I really did start to think about some real life transformations, and not just mind. I wanted to explore another friend of mine, and it did remind me of her story. And I reached out to her and I said, "Are you okay if I actually share this? This is what I've come up with." And she said, "Yeah, totally. That's awesome." And so it reminded me of my friend Yvonne, and she was at this crossroad moment that completely changed her life. Okay. So after years of being in the corporate world, she found herself at this turning point, as we all do when we're at a crossroad, when we're at a transition. And so she was unsure of what those next steps were going to be, but she was absolutely certain in her mind that she needed a change. So during this period of reflection for her, she decided that she was going hiking. And this is an activity that she loved as a child, but it had gradually been abandoned amidst career demands. And you know what that's like, right? Life becomes more important. We're building a career, and we just don't have time to think about or to do those things that are really important to us or have been important to us when we were a child. And so what became as this personal retreat for her became something more when she invited others to join her. So something really magical happened on those trails. Yvonne reconnected with her childhood love of exploring, but at the same time, she discovered this whole new purpose in life. And so she found herself naturally sharing her knowledge of the outdoors, teaching safety skills, and creating a space where women especially felt safe and secure and connected with other women, but with nature at the same time. And we all know that there's so much research around nature being such a healing tool for us. And so what happened, this spontaneity that she had of this gathering of other women who wanted to go on a hike with her, it evolved into her new calling. And so she combined these corporate organizational skills that she had with her passion for the outdoors and created these guided hiking experiences specifically designed to help women feel safe, to feel confident and connected in these natural settings. And, you know, myself personally, I've been on several of these hiking experiences with Yvonne, and you just come back as a new woman. You are totally looking at things very, very differently. And so what started as a personal coping mechanism during her own Crossroad became a thriving community that has helped countless other women find their own path, quite literally, including myself. So Yvonne's story reminds us that sometimes our most authentic next chapter involves reconnecting with parts of ourselves that we may have left behind long ago. And that our unique combination of experiences and the skills that we've built over the years can actually come together to create something that is really meaningful and very original as well. Now, I like to finish up these sessions with our move moment. And a move moment is something that you can do right now or at any point during the day. And so today's move moment I've called the Crossroad Walk. And here's how it works. Too many W's there for me. And so when you find yourself at any type of physical crossroad, any type of intersection will do, I want you to stand at the center and look down at each pathway. Please don't stand in the middle of a road though. And I want you to look in each direction. And I want you to ask yourself, what might life look like if I went this way? And there might be a couple of different ways you can go, right? What excites me about this direction and what concerns me about this path? And when you choose one path to walk down, just take a walk for 5 minutes, noticing how it feels in your body, and then return to that crossroad that you decided to go down, left or right or straight ahead, and then go and choose another path and ask yourself the same questions. So this physical metaphor helps you embody the mental and emotional process of considering different life paths and directions. And the purpose isn't to make a final decision, but to practice being present with both the excitement and the uncertainty of new possibilities. So today we've explored life crossroads, and they're a gift of reflection, reinvention. And I want you to remember that crossroads don't demand immediate action. They're an invite for thoughts, experiments, pauses, and opportunities. To ask yourself those hard questions, because those right questions matter more than any type of quick answer that you can give yourself. And think about the unique combination of experiences and skills that you have developed over the years and how they might mash together. I'll get it in a minute, mash together to create some type of foundation for whatever happens in this next chapter for you. So your challenge this week is to create those 3 lists that I talked about early. So what energizes you? What depletes you? And what are you curious about that you haven't explored maybe ever, or that you haven't been involved with for a number of years? And I want you to think about and notice any patterns or things that might pop up that surprise you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you've got something out of this, and that if you are facing a transition, that you will take that moment to really think about what that next step might be for you. And as always, focus on your well-being, because when we do that, we feel so much better in our mind and body. And it gives us that confidence that we need to take those next steps. So take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.